I think our GOP has grown lazy, actually. I don't mean lazy in terms of just get out the vote operations lazy. I mean lazy in a deeper sense of defining who we are and what we stand for. The other side, they're good at offering you a vision. It's not the right vision, but they'll give you one. Race, gender, sexuality, climate. And we're here sitting criticizing that vision instead of offering a vision of our own, what we actually stand for. What does it mean to be a Republican in the year 2024? What does it mean to be an American in the year 2024? I think it means we believe in the ideals of 1776. Ideals like meritocracy and freedom and the pursuit of excellence. The idea that you get ahead in this country not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character and your contributions. That's why I've said we'll end affirmative action and racial group quota systems in every area of American life. It's been a cancer on our national soul, and we are done with it. It means we believe in the rule of law. And I say this as the kid of legal immigrants to this country. That means your first act of entering this country cannot break the law. That is why I've said we will use our own military to secure our own southern border and our northern border too. That's what it means to stand for the rule of law in the United States of America. It means that we, the people, create a government that is accountable to us, not the other way around. That the people who we elect to run the government ought to be the ones who actually run the government, not the shadow government in the deep state that's running the show today. If I'm going to wage a war as your next president, here's what it's going to be. It'll be the war on our own shadow government right here at home. Actually want to drain the swamp, here's how you do it. I'll fire 75% of the federal bureaucrats by the end of my first term. Get half of that done in the first month. Shut down government agencies that should no longer exist. From the FBI to the ATF to the CDC, yes, to the U.S. Department of Education. We're going to get in there, not just fake reform them. No, we're going to get in there and shut them down. Take that $80 billion from the Department of Education, return it to parents across this country who deserve to choose where they send their kids to school. It takes a CEO to do this. Don't start with last year's budget as the baseline and then massage it around the edges. No, we start with zero as the baseline and ask what's actually necessary. Zero-based budgeting. That's how I've run my businesses. That's how CEOs across this country run their businesses. That's how we need to run the federal government. Tackle our national debt at the same time. Cancel those unconstitutional federal regulations that come from those three-letter agencies that Congress never actually passed. So we can drill, frack, burn coal, embrace nuclear energy in this country again. That's how we revive this economy. It's not controversial. This is common sense. Now, if you want to do this in a lasting way, we're going to need elections that we can trust and believe in this country. Here's what I'll deliver as your next president. Minimal federal standards for federal elections. Single-day voting on Election Day as a national holiday with paper ballots, government-issued voter ID to match the voter file, and yes, English as the sole language that appears on a ballot. That's not too much to ask. This isn't controversial. This is common sense. These pamphlets here, this is actually based on Thomas Paine's work, Common Sense, that started the American Revolution. That's what we need today. We live in a 1776 moment. It's time for us to stand up for those ideals of the American Revolution. E pluribus unum. You know what it means? It means from many, one. That's what we've lost in this country. We've been taught to celebrate our diversity and our differences so much that we forgot all of the ways that we're really the same as Americans, bound by that common set of ideals. I believe those ideals still exist. We're going to have to do the hard work of bringing them back to this country. Come on in, guys. Here's how we're going to do it. Revive that common core. Here's what it's going to take. It's not just going to be me. It's going to be all of us starting to speak the truth in the open again. Say in public what you will say in private at the dinner table. Say it with a spine. Say it with conviction. Say it with respect. But part of respect is that you respect your neighbor enough to tell him what you actually think. You see, that's what this campaign is about. Speaking the truth, not just when it's easy, but when it's hard. Speaking the truth, not just to the Democrats on the other side, but to the Republicans on our own side when necessary as well. That's what I've been doing in the debates. Doesn't always make me popular with the Republican establishment, I'll tell you that. But I don't report to them. I report to you, the people of this country, not another one, the people of this country, the United States of America. I'm the only candidate who can even say certain things to you. That I'm against the CO2 pipeline making its way across half this state, use an eminent domain to take land from innocent farmers. That it's based on a climate change agenda that absolutely is a hoax because it has nothing to do with the climate. To tell you that Ronna McDaniel needs to resign after 5 failed years of leadership of the Republican National Committee because we need accountability in our own party before we can have standing to bring it to government. That I will pardon every peaceful protester from January 6th and do it on my first day in office because that's the right thing to do for the United States of America and one standard of the rule of law. Ask yourself why I'm the only candidate who's able to say these things. It's because every other politician dances to the tune of their biggest donor. It's just a fact. In my case, that biggest donor is me. I'm not going to be somebody's circus monkey. Not going to be a pawn on a chessboard. I'd rather lose this election and speak the truth than to win by playing some political snakes and ladders. Now, my bet is that's the winning strategy. That's not up to me. That's up to you. Iowa goes first for a reason. That's why we're here. There's no TV screens between us. No social media algorithms floating in the air. You guys have a sixth sense for somebody who's walking in here and sharing their true beliefs versus giving you a bunch of poll-tested platitudes. You guys have a decision to make in about 17 days at the Iowa caucus, January 15th. I'm asking you to take 30 minutes of your time to save this country that night. To bring 10 people who couldn't be here. Tell them what we're talking about tonight. Bring them too. And if you guys do your part, I'm going to do mine. And I'm going to have some real talk with you. It's getting time to decision time. Let's have some real talk. I respect the heck out of Donald Trump. He did a lot for this country. He laid a good groundwork. Speaking to America First principles. Kept us out of war. Grew this economy. I've respected his legacy more than anybody else in this race has. They said they want to remove him from the ballots in Colorado or Maine. I said, if they remove him from the ballot, I'll remove myself from the ballot because that's the right thing to do for this country. Stand on principle. And I wanted every other candidate to do the same thing because then we can nullify Maine if they try to play games. They didn't do that. Tells you that the cancer's within our own party too. But for those of you who are considering doing what I would be doing if I weren't running for president, which would be to vote for Trump this cycle, I need you to open your eyes. If you think they're going to let this man get anywhere near that White House again, think again. Open your eyes. Don't fall for their trick. Staring us in plain sight. They are selling us the rope today that they will use to hang us tomorrow. These people will stop at nothing. Just open your eyes. You see it. One case, then 4 more cases. Now not even cases. Just pull them off the ballot. And that's just the beginning. We haven't even gotten to 2024 yet. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Do not fall for their trap. You got America First's future standing right here in front of you. This movement cannot end with Donald Trump. It didn't start with Donald Trump. It started with George Washington in 1776. He was the first America First conservative. We're 250 years in. Let us not be the generation that sees this come to the end of the road. We have 250 years and then some yet to come. That is our responsibility. America First does not belong to one man. Didn't belong to Trump, just as it doesn't belong to me. It belongs to you, the people of this country. We love the man because he got this fight started. It is our job to finish it. That is our responsibility to this country. So I'm asking you to do the right thing on January 15th. This will take somebody with fresh legs, somebody who's not yet wounded in that war. We are in a war for the existence of our country, and we're not working with a lot of time. If my son's in high school before we get this right, I don't think we have a country left. I truly mean that. And if we need to win this war, we need a commander-in-chief, a general, to lead us to victory who isn't wounded in that war. Thomas Jefferson was 33 when he wrote the Declaration of Independence. I'm the youngest person ever to run for U.S. president as a Republican, but I think we require that now more than ever. It's a 1776 moment. If you all do your part, I promise you I will do mine to stand for truth, to make sure that our country's best days are still ahead of us, to make sure that we revive the ideals of the American Revolution, revive American exceptionalism, unleash our inner animal spirit that has been tamed, it has been domesticated in this country, pursue excellence unapologetically, revive freedom in this country, stand for what George Washington stood for, stand what Ronald Reagan stood for, stand what Donald Trump stood for. But now to take that as our movement to the future, I am in this race to be your instrument to do it. You do your part, I'm going to do mine. That's how we revive our country. Thank you for coming out today, guys. God bless you, and God bless our United States of America. We will not stop until we get this job done. Let's open this up. I'm going to sit across the table from Xi Jinping in about 18 months. I'll handle the tough ones. Thank you for coming, guys. Thank you for saying hello.
You talked about being able to express your mind, speak freely. I mean, that's part of your cornerstone of your campaign is free speech. What do you do about like social media companies? Because Rand Paul's interviews shut down on Google or whatever. I mean,
I'm the most suppressed candidate in this race, actually.
How, as president, would you be able to change that?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a great question. So we got to call it what it is first. Sometimes you got to see things the right way. You got to use the right terms, and then you can see it more clearly. This big tech censorship issue, it's not big tech censorship. Let's call it what it is. It is actually government tech censorship. See, that's what's happening. The government is using private companies, the deep state in particular, to censor speech through the back door that the government could not censor through the front door under the Constitution. They're telling these companies, oh, we're going to break you up. We'll give you some trouble unless you take down the speech that we disapprove of. Oh, and if you do take it down, you have these special protections that don't worry, we'll give you an attaboy on the back. That's what's happening. So when the government uses a tech company or a bank or whoever to do through the back door what the government could not itself do through the front door, that's illegal. That's unconstitutional. Sometimes you got to rhyme these things, I've found. So if it's state action in disguise, the Constitution still applies. That's how it works. So that's illegal behavior. So I've said, when I'm president, any government actor, including a bureaucrat, from Anthony Fauci on down, whoever it is, that has threatened a private company to do something that the government couldn't do directly but get their dirty work done, we're going to expose it, we're going to publish it, and then we will hold the lawbreakers accountable. That's how you deal with it. Right? Because otherwise you think it's just a private company. It's not. That's what you got to see. It's a woke industrial complex, a merger of state power and corporate power that together do what neither one could do alone. That's Mussolini's definition of fascism, actually. Once we see that, the solution becomes that much easier. Does that address your question? Like I wrote a book about this. Woke Inc. was my first book. And actually, some of the legal theories that I wrote about are now being used, finally, years later in court cases, making their way through the appellate courts all the way to the Supreme Court. And I think I'm probably the only president who's run in the century for whom that is true. And I'm not saying that to boast. I'm saying that because I think fighting the threats to liberty today, taking on the deep state today, it's going to take a unique combination in our president. It's going to take somebody who, on one hand, is a businessman, an outsider, someone willing to break glass when necessary. If you've been watching the debates, you've seen him not afraid to do that. I'm going to bring that to Washington, D.C. But it's also going to take an outsider who knows and understands the law and the Constitution deeply. And those two things don't usually go together. right? You have the nerdy academic law professor type, or you got the business type over here. We need both to get this job done. In my faith, it teaches me that God puts each of us here for a purpose. Every one of us has our own unique God-given gifts. You have yours. Every one of us has ours. It's our job to discover what those are and to use them to achieve what's right in the short time that we're given. So that's what leads me to this race. That's that sense of duty and purpose. And yes, I believe I am the person now to take on those complex threats. It's not 1980 anymore. The threats we face today are unique. It starts with the head of the snake, the deep state. You actually want to drain that swamp, actually want to get it done this time. It takes both of those things, and that's why I'm in this race. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I did bring up my faith there, I guess. Is that something you all would be maybe interested in hearing a bit more about? Is that of interest to you? It's important to me, and so I'll share it with you. I'm Hindu, which is different than the traditional background of people who run for U.S. president. Most of them have been Christian. But I'll tell you, we share the same value set that this country was founded on, the same Judeo-Christian values that this country was founded on that we've lost, actually. And the heart of my faith is what I told you. God puts us here for a purpose. We have a duty to realize that purpose. There's one true God, and he works through us in different ways. But we're still equal because God resides in each of us. That's the heart of my faith. My parents actually instilled in us, and now that you're an adult and become a parent yourself, you're more grateful for it. I would say a very traditional upbringing. They taught us family is the foundation. Marriage is sacred. That divorce isn't just some option you pick off a menu when things go wrong in life. That adultery is wrong. Abstinence before marriage is the way to go. That the good things in life involve some sacrifice. That it's not just about this life. It's about eternal life. Well, I get to St. Xavier High School. That's where I went, Christian school in Cincinnati. I'm 14 years old. We read the 10 Commandments for the first time. What do they say? There's one true God. Don't take his name in vain. Observe the Sabbath. Honor your parents. Don't kill. That was important to me. It's where my pro-life views come from. Don't kill. Don't lie. Don't cheat. Don't steal. Don't commit adultery. Don't covet. It didn't feel like I was reading these values for the first time. They feel like foreign values today in today's culture. Go to your DEI training session at a mega corporation. Look at what they're teaching your kids in schools or at a university. But they're not foreign to most of us. They're the values this nation was founded on. I think it's important to understand the role of the president. I'm not going to be the best person to be a pastor, to spread Christianity through this country. And I don't think that's the job of the president. But I do think I will, better than anybody else right now, stand for those shared values in this country. The values that this nation was founded on. We live in a religiously pluralistic country. We want everyone, though, to share those foundational values of our nation. To swear an oath to the Constitution and keep it, including the First Amendment, especially the First Amendment, that you get to speak your mind freely and worship freely without any government standing in your way. Restore religious liberty in this country. So will I stand for those shared values? You're darn right I will. And I think I want to go further than that to make those values, faith, family, patriotism, hard work, cool, again, for the next generation. I think they're pretty cool. We'd like to pass that on not only our kids, but every kid across this country. And so that, too, is part of the job of the next president. It's not just the policies. I think half the job of the next U.S. president is to stand for our national character. I think the last president to do that was Ronald Reagan. In fact, when Reagan left office in January of 1989, it's funny, in his farewell speech, his last speech in the Oval Office, of all the things he could have picked to say he was proud of, bringing us to the near end of the Cold War, getting us out of stagflation, growing our economy. He didn't say any of those things on his last day. He said he was proudest to have revived our national character, answering who we are. When I leave that office in January of 2033, after 2 terms, if you all put us there. I think it's where we're going to be. I want to tell you, we did a lot of things. Shut down the deep state, declared independence from communist China, stayed out of World War III, restored borders in this country. We'll do that in the first few months. All of that, I want to tell you, we did it. But the thing I most want to tell you is that our kids and their generation, that they're once again proud to be citizens of this nation. And yes, if we do that, I think we have more than 250 years still left in this great American experiment of ours. That's my job as your next president. I just want to share that with you. That's important to me, and it's what brings me to this journey. So thank you for that. Thank you. Time for 1 or 2 more. Oh, go to the young woman right here. Tell me your name.
I'm Allie.
Good to meet you.
How do you stand out from Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley?
Well, look, I think there's a couple of differences, and each of those are 3 different people. I think one thing is different from me and them. It's just a fact. We've had taken different paths. I'm not a politician, for better or worse, right? So if you want somebody who's had experience in traditional career politics, go with one of them. That's not me. But I think what the moment calls for right now is somebody who has been an entrepreneur, somebody who has lived the full arc of the American dream, achieved success not by using government connections to start temporary businesses, but actually did it from the ground up. I've taken on bureaucracies my whole life and won. Took on the bureaucracy of pharma. I oversaw the development of 5 FDA-approved products, one of which is life-saving therapy in kids. There was a demand that I make a statement on behalf of Black Lives Matter. I refused to do it. I stepped down from my job as a biotech CEO to write my first book, Woke Inc., about the corruption in our private sector. That's the one I referenced earlier. We're talking about the corruption of big tech. Wrote several books, traveled this country, started another business to compete against BlackRock. I don't know if you all are familiar with BlackRock, using your money, abusing it to advance toxic agendas in corporate America's boardrooms. Created the biggest challenge to that by starting Strive, an asset manager that did it differently. So I take on bureaucracies and I win, but I do it as an entrepreneur. I'm not going to give you somebody's poll-tested slogans. It's about as hard for me to do that as it is for a professional politician to share with you an original idea. We're just cut from different cloths. It's like a different species. And there may be times in our history where we need somebody who's just a caretaker to implement someone else's ideas. Some presidents have been that. And there's a time and place where that may be okay for our country, but this isn't one of those moments. I think we need a president who has his own independent vision. Somebody who, and this is a big one, somebody who doesn't report to the donor class. That's the cancer in our politics. It's sad. It's the mother's milk of politics in both parties. And I know this. I mean, I've founded multi-billion-dollar companies. Before I ran for president, I had started to write checks to the Republican Party and Republican candidates. I stopped doing that. It's such a dirty game to watch this played. I said, if I want to do this, do it the right way. Do it with your own effort. It's easy to sit in some mountain resort and write a check and then view a politician as a puppet. When they leave the room, you talk about how they're going to use them. It's nonsense. It's corrupt. So I think right now more than ever, it's going to take somebody who isn't beholden to that system. I don't know if you've been watching the debates, but at one of the debates, I called out the chairwoman of the RNC, who has failed our party. That very night after the debate, she said, I won't get another cent of funding from the RNC, proving my point about the corruption. Thankfully, this country has blessed us with the American dream that I'm able to be independent of that. And so my commitment, especially to a young person, is you don't have to agree with 100% of what I say, and you probably won't agree with 100% of what any politician says. But I promise I will tell you what I believe 100% of the time. My boss is you, not some other billionaire somewhere else, because you got this one here funding my own campaign. And I think that allows me to at least be honest with you. I told you what I said. I think this is different from me and the other candidates. I'd rather speak the truth and lose the election than to win by playing those snakes and ladders. When the Secretary of State of Maine is removing Donald Trump willy-nilly from the ballot, I mean, I want to be the next president. I expect to be the next president. It'd be easier for me if Trump wasn't in this race. Let's be honest about that. But I said I would remove myself from Maine's ballot. Neither Ron DeSantis nor Nikki Haley had the spine to say the same thing. When the CO2 pipeline, does anybody in this room know what I'm referring to? Raise your hand. So they're effectively taking carbon dioxide out of ethanol plants, burying it across the ground. And the punchline is they're telling farmers, even if you don't want that, we're going to build it across your land anyway. It's unconstitutional. It's wrong. So many farmers I've met don't want that in their backyard, and yet they're doing it anyway, using federal subsidies to do it. Not a single other candidate's able to say the simple thing that that's wrong. Why? Because some of the most powerful donors and people in the Republican Party, including in this state, don't let the candidates speak the truth. And so I think the thing that's different is I'm not somebody else's puppet. I'm me. I'll tell you who I am and what I stand for. And if after knowing that you want to go for somebody else, I'm at peace with that. But I think I'm the only person in this race who can tell you who I am and what I stand for. And if I may say, tell me your name again. It was Allie, and you're 8? Mm-hmm. I think it's going to take somebody with fresh legs from the next generation to reach and lead your generation, to make sure that you don't have $200,000 of debt that you didn't sign up for on your shoulders, as you do today, of our national debt, to make sure that your generation isn't fighting World War II. These other people want to send $200 billion of our money, your money, to Ukraine, so some corrupt politician there can buy a bigger house, just as the corrupt ones here are doing the same thing. I'm not going to let them get away with that. So I think that's what's different from me and the other professional politicians in this race. And if that sounds like something that you'd like to see in your next president, then I don't think you can vote for me, but I think your dad can. So maybe you can convince him to do that for me. So thank you. I appreciate you being here, Allie. Thank you. 8-year-old girl. I'm proud of you for being here. Thank you. Take one final question. 2 final questions. We'll give you the... Oh, they're all popping up now. Okay, I'll go faster.
I thought we had till 10.
Do we? Okay, we're going all night long. We'll go to here, and then, one, then you, and then we'll go to the 2 in the back, and we'll wrap it up.
Vaccine mandates and medical freedom.
Dead set against vaccine mandates, dead staunch supporter of medical freedom. No doubt about it. And I want to get into specifics because those are just easy things to say. I don't want to just check a box. I actually believe medical freedom in both directions. You should be able to take something even if the FDA hasn't approved it. I believe that. I say this as somebody who's overseen the development of those medicines. We could have developed those at a fraction of the cost if the FDA hadn't created the hurdles they have. Why do they do it? Because pharma lobbies for it. Why does pharma lobby for that? That seems like that doesn't make sense. It makes sense because it keeps the competition out. That's what drives up drug prices in this country. So I believe in medical choice. Just because the FDA hasn't approved it doesn't mean you can't take it. Just because the FDA has approved it doesn't mean you have to take it, which is what they did during the COVID pandemic. It's the worst of all worlds. The same FDA that says you can't take it unless it's been through there for 10 years says in the case of a COVID vaccine, it's 9 months, you have no choice but not to take it. That doesn't make sense. It's a lie. And here's the other thing. Pharma has lobbied for a special form of immunity from being sued. Normally, if a product hurts you, you can sue the manufacturer. Not if it's a vaccine manufacturer. That's crony capitalism. I'm the only candidate in this race who said this. I will rescind and cancel that special immunity for vaccine manufacturers so we can have justice for those who are harmed. That's what it means to actually have accountability. So that's where I'm at on that. Hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Sir?
Yeah, the America First, I'm all for that. This is my question, to what extent are you willing to go? I'm a veteran. I'm, what's the best way to say it, trying to get through the hurdles of the VA system, and I jump through hoops, and then I hear Guatemala, Honduras, Colombia, they're all taking VA spots.
They are.
They're taking
illegals. Illegals who are in this country.
I'm all for immigration, as long as it's legal. Yep. So I have to go through all this shit. I'm 55 years old in a 75-year-old body, and I can't get shit done.
Thanks for your service, man.
Thank you for your service, man. Thank you for your service to this country. I'm proud of you.
There's 67,000 homeless vets. That's
It's unacceptable.
And yet, $234 billion we spent between Ukraine, Israel, and illegal immigrants.
It's
America
unconscionable.
First should be America First.
America First does not come with an asterisk. That's what I say.
Are you willing as a president to, I mean,
I'll tell you what
you're
I'll
a
do.
homeowner and you're out of work. You have a mortgage. You got debt. Would you take a loan out for somebody to put a roof on their house from somebody you knew from junior high school?
Especially if they don't have the same loan on their own head, which is what we're doing now.
Yeah, why are we going in debt and keeping veterans from getting services so somebody in Ukraine can get these dollars? It's unfathomable to me that
It's immoral.
it is. I mean,
See,
why?
I'll tell you, I mean, and this is where the Republican Party irritates the heck out of me. It's like in the same way, the analogy. My moral duty as a father is to my family, to my sons, period. My moral duty as your next president is to the citizens of this nation, not another one. Most of the Republican Party, I mean, you asked about the contrast with other candidates, the ones you named. They'll cut Social Security and Medicare, but ship $200 billion over to Ukraine. They'll cut veterans' benefits and ship money over to Central American countries. That ends on my watch. I've released comprehensive veterans care policies. Okay, first, some of these don't even involve cost. It's just common sense. A veteran who comes back from a combat role, give them paid 6-week decompression buffers before thrusting them back into civilian life. That alone brings down PTSD by 80%. Give veterans greater privacy restrictions to report their PTSD so they don't get tagged with the red flag law. I think, to your last question, I think veterans deserve medical choice, including Schedule I drugs that they're otherwise denied through the VA. Close to 40 veterans a day today are committing suicide and turning to fentanyl or worse. That's not America. That's unconscionable in the United States of America. I've been a CEO. You don't know who sets the pay of a CEO and who decides if they're hired or fired? It's the shareholders. Under my watch, our veterans will be the shareholders of the VA, a VA that's actually accountable to them. So those are basic changes. But the number one way we support our troops and support our veterans is we don't send our sons and daughters to go die in somebody else's war. We don't send our money to somebody else's war. We use it to advance the interests of our own citizens. That's how we fight our national debt. And I think if you're serving in this country, any pay to somebody serving in the military and any veterans benefit should be tax-free. You shouldn't pay taxes on money that you make through the military or your own veterans benefits. That's a speck in our federal budget compared to even the money we're sending to Ukraine today. That's what I promise to deliver as your next president. Actual America First principles. My moral duty is to the citizens of this nation, not another one. That's my foreign policy, my domestic policy. I'll keep us out of World War III. I'll declare independence from China. But if we're going to use our military, I'll tell you how we're going to use it. We're going to use it to protect our own homeland, our military on our borders, protect us against cyber attacks, super EMP attacks, missile defenses that we're missing. That's what the people who serve our military are proud to do. And so, yes, if we do that, we're going to have actually far more wealth in this country than we do now. We will not give a dime of foreign aid to any country whose national debt per person is less than ours. That's basically every country we're giving foreign aid to today. That's what happens on my watch. That's controversial in the Republican Party. I could care less. America First is bigger than one party. That's what it means to stand for our actual America First principles. That's what would make George Washington proud. He's rolling over in his grave right now. We will make him proud on my watch again. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Will you shoot down the Chinese balloon?
What's that?
Will you shoot down the Chinese balloon?
Hell yes, I will. You're darn right. And the reason we didn't do it is because we're scared. Why are we scared? Because we depend on China for our modern way of life. From our pharmaceuticals to our military equipment comes from China. Once we don't depend on them, we can actually have a spine and do the right thing. That happens on my watch. Great question, my man. Well, last two in the back. You and then the gentleman, you get the final word, sir, after that.
Can you and will you, as president, claw back some of that spending that Biden has already spent, like the IRA, like $3.7 billion and $1.8 trillion?
Yes.
Can we get some of that money back?
Yes, we can. That's designed to be spent over 5 years. We'll get that back in our bank account. You want to address our national... Did you have another question? Because I was going to address...
That's more than enough for this man here.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. See, they make this national debt crisis. Here's how you want to address our national debt. It's really simple. It's not by cutting your veterans' benefits. It's not by cutting your Social Security benefits as they want to do. Every Republican basically wants to do that too. It's by, here, simple formula. Let's wear the CEO hat here. Let's do some simple math. Get the oil and gas out from underneath our ground, sell it, and buy down $8 trillion of our national debt. 2 wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, they gave us $7 trillion of our national debt. Those are pointless wars. The Taliban, for God's sake, is still in charge 20 years later. Iraq is a more broken country than when we showed up. Don't make that same mistake in the Ukraines or the Middle East again. That's $7 trillion less next time around. Fire 75% of the federal bureaucrats, send them home packing. Our national debt problem is solved, and we haven't touched veterans benefits or Social Security benefits. To the contrary, I'd say what we should be asking is how do we increase veterans benefits and Social Security benefits? I'll tell you how we can increase Social Security benefits. Many older people aren't getting to enjoy what they were promised because costs have gone up. They can't make ends meet with Social Security. Here's how we do it without increasing our national debt. It's this thing called math. It's a beautiful subject we sometimes used to learn in our schools. 40 years ago, if our Social Security trust fund had been allowed to be invested just in a diversified portfolio like your financial advisor would tell you to, in stocks, bonds, treasuries, etc., a person who's collecting $1,800 a month in Social Security today would be collecting close to $18,000 per month in benefits today. Think about that, $18,000 check in the month, not a difference in our national debt, just government incompetence that led us there. Well, I can't change the past, but we can change the future. We won't cut a dime for the people who are entitled to it today. And for the next generation, they will be getting that $18,000 check while also fighting our national debt problem in the process. That's the way I'm going to lead. Exactly. We're not going to do that anymore. We're done with it because we're not going to need it because my federal budget is starting with zero-based budgeting. We have a 75% firing plan across the federal government. That's how you drain the swamp. And it takes somebody who knows how to get that done. They duped Donald Trump. They told him you can't fire those federal bureaucrats because of civil service protections or whatever they told him. Read the law. Those civil service protections do not protect against mass firings. Mass firings are what I'm bringing to the D.C. bureaucracy. They duped Trump, told him you can't end birthright citizenship without a constitutional amendment. Read the 14th Amendment. It does not apply to the kids of illegals in this country. They told him you can't deport these people because we only have 6,000 ICE agents. Use the law. You can actually use local law enforcement, 287G. It's in the law today. That's 1 million people. Then we can get that done. So you need a president who, yes, has the right ideas and the right vision, but who also knows the law and the Constitution to see this through. We will get that done. You have my word on that. We'll give you the final word, sir.
Hey, I listen to many of your talks, and I watch a lot of podcasts. I just want to let you know I really admire you, which is why I asked, you mentioned about Trump, how you're saying there's no chance to go to the White House. I believe you guys have many similar core values, so do you think they'll do the same thing that they're going to him for you?
Eventually.
What's your plan against that?
So one thing I got going for me that he didn't have when he got started was the Supreme Court. The current Supreme Court agrees with me 6-3 on everything I'm telling you. So they're going to sue us on a lot of this. We'll take it to the Supreme Court and win. The other thing is more than Trump and anybody else, I have an understanding of the Constitution. I'm going to use that on our side. I'm not going to be duped by it in the process. So it takes the brawn, but it also takes the brain power. You need both of these right now to get this done. Knowledge of the Constitution and the muscle power to see it through. And those two things don't go together. If not, they're going to dupe you. Now, when I say they're not going to let him, I don't mean that he's going to lose the election. I mean they're not going to let him. They will stop at nothing. I mean, last time around, we had a man-made pandemic and a big tech rigged and worse election. This time, this system has decided they will stop at nothing. So all I'm saying is don't fall for that trap, whatever it is. Don't fall for that trap. You got the future of America first standing here. I'm asking you to do something that was a little different than you might have thought of 6 months ago. I understand that. But you've been duped now how many times? We've been duped how many times? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool us twice, shame on us. That's not going to happen, and that's why I'm here. I don't covet this job. I promise you that. We're not doing this. I mean, we got a 3.5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old. My wife is a hero, saving lives every day. Kept her full-time job. I'm running businesses, living a life we never imagined when my parents came to this country that they never imagined. My dad is facing layoffs at the GE plant in Evendale, Ohio when I'm in middle school. For us to now be living this full arc of the American dream, we would have never imagined it. Many people want to ride on Air Force One. Maybe that's why they want to be president. I'll be honest with you guys, it's not that different from what I've been doing for the last few years. It's not for comfort that I'm doing this. I promise you that. It's for love of this country and our sense of duty to this country. I meant what I said. God gives each of us our unique gifts. You have your own, man. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
About to be 21.
About to be 21. Proud of you for being here. It's your generation we're asking to step up. It's not going to be one president coming from on high from the White House to save us. I'll tell you that. I'm not promising you that. If we're going to be saved, it's not the spiritual realm I'm talking about, in the civic realm. If we're going to be saved, it's going to be because we save ourselves. But I'm going to do my part. There's a part for the president to play. I'm going to do my part. I'm going to ask that you play yours. When you're the only person in a room on a college campus or in the workforce or wherever you end up going in your journey, when you're the only person in a room who believes what you do, you have an obligation now more than ever to stand up and say it. Say it with a spine. And if you do that, I can promise you, now more than ever, that almost certainly you will not be the only person in that room who believes what you did. That's where we are right now. This culture of fear has paralyzed this country. Fear has been infectious, but courage, it can be contagious too. It just requires more of us, especially your generation, to step up and actually show it. So I'm asking you to do your part. Even if I'm the president, I'm not letting you off the hook, okay? If we're going to save this country, it's going to be because every one of us does our part. But I'm volunteering today and asking you to put me in a position to do mine. If you all do your part on January 15th, and that's what I'm asking for, every one of your votes at that Iowa caucus is like the equivalent of 1 million people showing up. If I win the Iowa caucus, I'm your next president. If I'm your next president, we get the things we just talked about here. We get those things done. So yes, if you do your part, I promise you, my family and I, my wife Apurva and I, we will do ours to make sure that our best days are actually still ahead of us. To make sure that we don't have to be this nation in decline anymore. We don't have to be at the end of the ancient Roman Empire. What I see right now is, as a nation, what I'd like to see is a nation that's really just a little, like you, a little young, actually. Going through our own version of our adolescence. Figuring out who we're going to be when we grow up. And when you view it that way, it makes sense again. You go through your adolescence, you go through this identity crisis. You lose your way a little bit. You do some stupid things. But we are stronger for it when we get to our adulthood on the other side. So no, I don't think we have to be this nation in decline. I think this is the last time I could come here and tell you this. I don't think I could tell you this in 4 years or 8 years, but I can tell it to you now. I think we still can be a nation in our ascent. Maybe even the early stages of our ascent. Maybe we're not even at base camp. On our way still to that shining city on a hill. That country where we will look our kids in the eye and mean it when we tell them that you get ahead in this country with your own hard work, your own commitment, your own dedication. And that you know what? You are free to speak your mind at every step of the way. That is the American dream. That is what we are running to. And with your help, that's what we're going to revive to save this great country. Thank you for coming today, guys. God bless you and your families and our United States of America. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're doing a better line.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
This is our moment. On January 15th, your way down at all.
Together,
We'll
be in
maybe
this
see if we can do a
room
photo line,
to
otherwise I'll
make
walk
this
away.
man the next president of the United States of America.
see you.
Thank you for coming. We are going to do a photo line. So anyone who would like to take a moment, get a picture with Vivek, that opportunity is available to you. This room's a little small, so we're going to have this line right here. If you're interested, come on up and be first, and then we'll clear those chairs and we'll figure out logistics and get pictures for everyone who wants a picture with Vivek. You're invited.
Thank you. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, man. I appreciate
All right.
it.
Flying
All the
back
best.
tomorrow to California.
Thank you, man. Spread the message there. And
Let me know if you need any volunteer help on data science.
if you
or
actually
anything
volunteer
like
with
that.
us, even though it's about phone banking or otherwise, we would take that.
What about like digital marketing?
We would take that as well in the long run. Thank you. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Hey. Good California.
Nice to meet you,
Good
Vivek.
to see you, man. What's your name?
Lane.
Lane. Good to see you, brother.
That's my uncle.
Good to see you, brother. Where do you live?
We live in town here.
Awesome.
So,
Thanks for being here, guys.
bet.
Thank you.
Yeah,
If you sign one of these cards, we'll tell you exactly
Yeah,
how to do
sounds
this.
good.
You done the caucus
Good
before?
luck to you.
Have you done the caucus before?
I
You haven't?
haven't, no.
You definitely sign one of those. We'll tell you how to do it.
Okay.
So, thank you, guys.
Appreciate your work ethic. 300 some stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Before the caucus. It's
Absolutely.
Kind of the
Remind
last
me of
thing in
myself.
America.
330. Luck is spelled W-O-R-K. That's what my
Yeah,
parents
that's
taught me.
right.
So I
So it
appreciate
means
it.
something still today. So appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Thank you,
Take care.
guys. Spread the message. Bring a bunch of people out.
We will.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Esther, give these men a card, Esther. Yep, thank you. Thank you. Good to see you, man. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Proud of you. Have you done the caucus before?
Yeah.
Awesome. Come on out for us. I appreciate it. Thank you, brother. It's good to see you. Thank you.
Be old enough to vote by the election.
You will. Get one of these cards. We'll tell you, make it super easy for you. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. What's your name?
Betsy.
Betsy. Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you, Betsy.
very
You
much.
spread the message. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
Love that
Keep it
shirt.
up.
Thank you, brother. I
I
appreciate
need to
it.
get you one of those.
Thank you, man. I would love that. Thank you.
My daughter-in-law
Are you
went to.
you signed up
Ursula.
with us, right? You're,
Yeah, I'm
you're,
on-
you
so-
spend about your precinct captain.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm a precinct captain because I think we've got others that are doing it.
Okay.
I'm in Blackhawk County, but I'll find out. So I'm organizing
I loved it.
the.
Do you have a camera?
We've got 3 precincts in Hudson
Awesome.
that
Okay.
are doing that. So I don't know if we got people to
Hey,
speak. But
Esther, if we can, I think he actually would be a good precinct captain. It's pretty easy. It's
Sure,
a
yeah.
pretty simple thing to do,
Yeah.
and you speak well too, so that'd be good.
I'm left-handed.
I love that. I love that. Thank you.
My daughter-in-law went to Ursuline.
Oh, she did. It's like
So she
sister high
can't
school.
get her-
Tell her thank you. It's up St. X is where I went.
At least your Secret Service guys don't have the haircuts, right?
Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate
everything
it.
you're doing.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Esther, he signed up with us, but I want to be a precinct captain.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to see you.
Good to meet you.
Good to see you.
I got my daughter.
Oh, thank
and
you
my
guys for
husband.
coming. Is that your husband? Good to see. Oh, you guys came together. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Thank
Saw
you.
you speak at the Iowa State Fair at the
Awesome.
Fairfield Chat there. Yeah,
That's
it was
awesome,
like
guys.
nice
Have
to
you
meet
been to the caucus before?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yep, several times. So, yeah.
Spread the message for us.
Will do.
I appreciate that. Thank you, guys. Take care. Thank you for being here again. Good to see you. How are you?
I'm fine.
You been well?
Yeah, yeah.
Good, good.
yeah.
You've done the caucus before, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good. I love
Thank
it.
you.
Spread this message, and we're going to do this.
I'm talking for
We're going to
you.
do this. Thank you so much. Means a lot.
Thank you for
Okay.
coming.
She's great. We've seen her many times. Hey, what's going on, man? What's your name?
William.
William.
Hope
Good
you
to
fix
see
the military if you get elected.
We will.
I was
Absolutely.
in
We're
7
able
years
to
in the
do
Air
that.
Force, and there's so much wrong with like the diversity and whatnot.
No, it's a disgusting culture what they've done. It's only the last 5 years we can fix this, though. The Mark Millies of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Clean house at the Pentagon is the
Yeah.
right answer to that question.
Keep 'em
Oh,
here.
thank you. Thank you. Good to see you guys. Is it family?
Yes.
Oh, great. Thank you for coming out, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that, guys. Thank you. It's nice to meet you. Spread the message, guys. Have you done the caucus before?
Oh, yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to see you.
It's good to see you too.
Thank you.
sleep.
I appreciate that. Yeah, she's a good one. We want her. Yeah.
Yep.
We're counting on you.
For tonight. Oh, yeah.
I'm counting on you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
From this morning.
Good to see you, my man. How are you?
Great. And some other things too. What about repealing laws like the Jones Act?
Oh, yeah. Get rid of all
I know
that.
you're not-
The vestiges of the Patriot Act, all of that
You
stuff.
can't do all that stuff. But there's laws on the books
Some of that you
that-
need Congress for.
Right.
But I will push for it.
Okay.
But I will start with the first year of reform the administrative state. That's what we need. Spread the message, my man. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good to see you, man.
Yep. Got it? Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yep. See ya.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Hey, good to see you. Oh, mucho gusto. Good to see you. Good to see you guys. Thank you, man. Appreciate you being here, brother.
Thank you so much for coming. Oh, really?
Have you guys done the Iowa caucus before?
We have.
Spread the message, okay?
Yep.
Thank you. We're counting on you.
Thank you.
I love the hat and mucho gusto. Thank you. Thank you for coming out. I appreciate it. Hey,
Great to meet you.
good to see you, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Doing good.
Good.
Appreciate you.
What's your name, man?
Casey.
You did the caucus?
I have not.
You got to come out this time. Right? Sign one of those things
I
for
will.
us.
I actually recorded everything. You share it with people. So.
Oh, awesome. You
Yep.
do that?
You got it.
You're doing your
Love
part.
everything
Thank you,
you
brother. Thank you. Means a lot. Good to see you, young man. We got to bring you out to that caucus.
Yeah.
And get other young people to come, and we're going to shock the system. We're going to shock the system. I'm serious. Get you sign one of those things for us and bring your generation out. It's a shock coming on January 15th. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's good to see you. What's your name?
Celia.
Celia. It's good to meet you.
My husband Bill.
That's it?
Thanks for what you're
Bill?
doing.
Bill. Good to see Bill. Thank you. Thank you for being here, guys.
Well, thanks for what you're doing.
Thank you. Have you participated in the Iowa caucus?
I've done, this will be my third or fourth.
Oh, amazing. Will you spread the word for us?
Okay.
I appreciate you. Thank you, guys. Hey, good to see you. What's your name?
Charity.
Charity, good to see you. Thank you for being here.
Could you sign?
Yeah, absolutely. Where do you live? Nearby?
Ackley.
Nearby?
Yes.
You spread the message in that community for us. I'd appreciate it. Have you done the caucus before?
I have.
Good. Excellent. Thank you so much. Hey.
Hi.
Good to see you. Barb?
Yep.
Good to see you, Barbie.
Craig,
it's nice to see you guys. Thank you for being here, guys.
elections truthful.
That's right. That's right. It won't be fully, but a landslide minus some shenanigans is still a victory.
Right.
That's what I'm doing. We'll bring the next generation along. Have you done the caucus before?
No.
Oh, we need you this time. You sign up with us January 15th. It's 30 minutes of your time. It's like 1 million votes for every person who shows up. So, thank you guys. Take care.